For this month's Thrivership Series, I'm going to bring the topic that I shared with our Net Impact Birmingham program. We're going to talk a little bit about stress management as well as mental health, and I'm going to talk about it in the context of using tools and reference a little bit about anchors and lighthouses. Come along. Okay, so we're going to talk about net thrivership, strengthening mental health, and managing stress. Thrivership defined. So, as many of you know, thrivership goes far beyond survival. It means acknowledging that cancer has changed aspects of your life, but it also means that you have the possibility of claiming to joy, growth, and meaning. And it's not about ignoring pain, fear, or grief because those emotions are real and valid. Thrivership, in many contexts, allows you to ask yourself, how can I live fully in the presence of those challenges? And some people might describe it as not being defined by cancer, but learning to live with it. It's a dynamic process and it's not a destination. So, the anchor and the lighthouse. So, cancer can feel heavy. So, in one way, you can say, that feels like an anchor. But an anchor can also steady you, keeping you grounded during something difficult. So, we're going to talk about anchors mostly in a positive light today. And a lighthouse. A lighthouse can be a symbol of hope and direction, reminding you that there's a way forward, even in darkness. And thrivership is really about balancing both, being realistic about the weight of illness, but still orienting yourself to the things that are yours and the things that give you meaning and light. And so I'm going to carry forth this metaphor during our discussion today. But before we get into that, I want to stop and just say here are a lot of resources that NETRF offers for you in your Thrivership journey. If you want to learn more about these resources, please visit our Net Knowledge Center at netrf.org/patients, or you can contact me directly. My information is below. So, why does mental health matter? We know that mental health is not secondary to illness. It is central to our whole health. Stress, depression, anxiety, mood changes can lower our energy, disrupt our sleep, and impair our focus. It absolutely impacts our immune function, our digestion, and pain tolerance. And it can also impact how we make decisions, how treatments can be tolerated, how we want to comply with treatment plans. And people living with neuroendocrine cancer also carry silent burdens, fear of reoccurrence, grief over lost plans or losses associated to neuroendocrine cancer, guilt about impact on the family. Giving language to these emotions matters and it reduces the power. The mental health is a part of managing neuroendocrine cancer. There's a weight of uncertainty with cancer, a fear of reoccurrence, medical unknowns, life disruptions. For many, neuroendocrine cancer is diagnosed late or several years after a misdiagnosis. This is a slow-growing disease for many, and it leaves people in a stretch of let's watch and wait. And that limbo can take a toll sometimes. And because neuroendocrine cancer is misunderstood, often patients can feel dismissed. And that sense of isolation can amplify even some emotional distress. Living with uncertainty is a core part of thrivership and finding ways to live with uncertainty. So let's recognize emotional symptoms. Anxiety, depression, mood changes, fatigue, and sleep problems are not signs of weakness. They are real common symptoms that people may experience, and they're worthy of attention just like physical symptoms. Stress has a body-wide impact. It also, in short bursts, stress can help us cope with things. But when it becomes chronic, it wears us down, and that can lead to exhaustion and poor sleep and worsening health. Recognizing the symptoms, irritability, withdrawal, racing thoughts, trouble focusing, is the first step to addressing them. Now, everyone here may have different ways that they respond to stress, but it's important to know what are your stress signs? What are your signals that your body tells you that you're stressed? And it's important to know that stress is not just in your head. It often can impact your stress hormones and immune function, provide physical tension or pain, and deplete your energy. Stress is a real thing. So I want to talk a little bit about the anchors, support systems. Your anchors are things that can help with stress, and they represent things that are important to you, things that allow you to know that you are you. So your anchors may be friends, family, your care team, your faith, or even peer support. Anchors steady you when you're having a state of chaos. And so I want you to think about who are your family, your friends, your care team, who are your connections. Some people, when they're feeling a lot of stress, want to deviate. It can be a natural reaction to want to back away and not be connected with support systems. And sometimes people under stress can distract themselves or postpone decisions. Others engage. This is a healthy thrivership thing to do. They may research, seek support, and act quickly. Healthy thrivership often requires some level of balance and a level of anchor. And your anchor is your support system. So engaging those anchors. So when we think about the lighthouse, we think about purpose and meaning. The lighthouse is about meaning. For some, it's faith or spirituality. For others, it's relationships, curiosity, or advocacy. Purpose does not erase hardship, but it orients us to what matters most. And this isn't about a toxic positivity. Thrivership is rooted in reality, acknowledging what's hard, but also making space for gratitude, growth, and good things. When we cultivate purpose, it improves our resilience. And this can lower depression and enhances aspects of our quality of life. So, coping strategies that help. Thrivership really essentially rests on four pillars: connection, purpose, self care, and resilience. Mindfulness, relaxation, and creative outlets like art or music help regulate emotions and recharge energy. These aren't just luxuries, these are tools for survival. Finding the coping strategies that help you and provide the things that you need are really important. If you're not able to find those tools, I encourage you to talk with a therapist and get resources to help. So, we're going to talk a little bit about cognitive tools. Sometimes our minds can create their own storms, and that can be harder than even illness itself. Thoughts can spiral. What if the scan is bad? What if treatment stopped working? Cognitive tools help interrupt these spirals. So, some ways to do this is to catch the thought. Notice if you're stuck in the what if. Reframe. You can ask yourself, what else might be true? What evidence supports these challenges or fears? And then grounding yourself in the present. Focusing on what's happening today, not just the imagined futures. Resilience doesn't deny uncertainty at all. It acknowledges it, but shifts the story from helplessness to possibility. So, we're going to talk a little bit about our emotional tools. Thrivership is not about being relentlessly positive, and you're going to hear that a lot from me, but it's about being real. You're allowed to feel grief, sadness, anger, or fear. Suppressing emotions doesn't make them disappear because that would isolate you. Emotional tools include permission to feel, giving yourself space to name emotions, self-compassion, speaking to yourself in the same kindness you'd offer someone else that you loved, and layered support. Family may help practically, peers provide shared experiences, and professionals like counselors and social workers offer specialized guidance. And knowing that emotional honesty lightens the load. When we can name what we're feeling, when we can pinpoint the experience, we can give it a place and it doesn't take more room. It allows us to name it and then set it over here, and it can really help lighten the load. And then there's behavioral tools and activation, things that you can do because our behaviors directly affect our mood and resilience. Sleep. Poor rest magnifies fatigue, irritability, and anxiety. Protecting sleep is foundational to feeling better. Movement. There's so many benefits to movement and so much more research now about cancer and exercise. But gentle exercise, walking, stretching, yoga, reduces stress hormones and boosts your mood. And then nutrition. Balanced meals stabilize energy and can ease some side effects that you might feel. Behavioral thrivership also means clear communication. Instead of saying, I'm fine, or it's okay, say something honest, like I'm worried today, if that's the case. Instead of help me, say, can you bring me dinner on Thursday? Specific asks make helping and getting support more possible. So let's talk a little bit more about our anchoring practices. So anchors can be daily rituals that ground you. It could be journaling, prayer, mindfulness, or a morning routine. They bring stability when life can feel chaotic. For some people, anchors are practical, taking medicine at the same time of the day. And for others, they're emotional. It might be lighting a candle, walking in nature, or practicing gratitude. Anchors remind us I have practices that keep me steady, even sources of hope and direction. Faith, nature, creativity, or relationships. Hope here is flexible. It might be hope for remission, but it also can be hope for a good day, meaningful moments, or comfort during a struggle. Thrivership reframes hope from a distant miracle to daily sustenance. Small lights, laughter with a grandchild, a nice walk with an animal, quiet time outdoors guide us forward. The next thing we're going to talk about communication and its role in thrivership. So communication is a part of survival. When things are unspoken, stress grows and it fosters. Clear communication can lower misunderstandings. It can reduce frustration and it can strengthen connection. This includes setting boundaries, knowing when to say no to protect energy. It also includes asking directly, I need company today, or I need space. Communication builds trust and reduces isolation. There's thrivership in relationships. Cancer changes roles. Sometimes you're the patient, sometimes you're the caregiver, and sometimes you're still a parent or a partner. These shifts create stress for us, but also offers opportunities to deepen intimacy and redefine connection. Thrivership and resilience means naming role changes, honoring both vulnerability and strength, and creating space for joy, humor, togetherness during an illness. Healthy relationships can become one of the strongest anchors of all. When we think of professional support, there are different kinds of support that we can have. But professional support isn't just a last resort, it's an essential part of thrivership. There can be therapists, counselors that can help to process emotions or teach coping skills. Psychiatrists can provide medication when depression, anxiety, or mood changes are completely overwhelming and can't be managed otherwise. And then support groups reduce isolation and offer community. Reaching out is not a weakness, it's a strategy. It ensures you have the right team to support your whole self. And we can't talk about thrivership without integrative approaches. Modern medicine is so important, and we see that even the hope and the future that we have with cancer depends on research, medications, treatments, etc. But there also are integrative approaches, and integrative approaches like yoga, tai chi, massage, acupuncture, art therapy, they can help reduce tension and stress. They can provide relaxation and emotional release, and they complement, they do not replace medical treatment. And we know that cancer care today acknowledges the mind-body connection. Integrative practices give additional tools to cope and to feel. The mind and the body are not separate. Stress and trauma live in the body. Calm and balance can be restored through breath work, meditation, or guided imagery. Even 5 minutes of deep breathing practice can reset the nervous system. Mind body practices remind us that resilience isn't just mental, it's physical, emotional, and spiritual. We know that the cancer experience is stressful, and it's important to have a stress management plan. A stress management plan puts you in control, not stress. It includes knowing your triggers. That could be your scan days, your treatment cycles, or specific conversations. A stress management plan is having a toolbox, focusing on breathing, movement, journaling, or reaching out for support. And it's practicing this before crisis, building in calm moments so they're ready when the storm hits. Plans turn coping into positive care instead of reactions. So recognizing and sharing your anchoring moments or your anchors, your lighthouse moments or your lighthouse, and your wisdom from experience. I hope that in today that you can think about a couple of your anchors, your lighthouses, and things that you've learned along the way. So you can't talk about thrivership without talking a little bit about the barriers to it. So let's talk about these so we can address some of them. So thrivership is real, but so are barriers. Stigma. We have to talk about mental health and know that it is not a shameful thing to do. But if you feel shameful about it, it will make it harder. We have to talk about access. Therapy, support, integrative care may not be available or affordable. It's important to see what is available at your local cancer center and in your community. Finances. Cancer treatments often strain households. Naming these barriers doesn't diminish the thrivership, it just makes it real. And we can't overcome what we first don't acknowledge. There might be resources that are available for you, but it's important to know. And then the other barrier is staying isolated. If you stay alone and don't connect with others, it will be harder to learn about resources, strategies, tools, things, and to generally feel connected. And that is something that is really important in the thrivership period. So we want to overcome some of the barriers, right? We don't just want to acknowledge them. So resources exist, advocacy groups, online forums, and local programs. Connecting with others who understand or get it reduces isolation and sparks hope. Creative outlets, art, music, writing, also bypass barriers by giving expression emotions that words can't capture. Overcoming barriers often means combining personal effort with community support because thrivership is never a solo process. And knowing that thrivership serves as growth. Many people can describe cancer as both devastated and transformative. Thrivership doesn't ignore suffering again, but it acknowledges the possibility of post-traumatic growth. And where this happens is finding strength you didn't know that you had, appreciating life more deeply, giving back, mentoring, or shaping legacy. Growth doesn't erase pain, but it does coexist with it. So resilience can be something that is actionable. And resilience, I want to share, is not being strong all the time. It's being flexible, being able to pivot, to have perseverance, and have the ability to adapt. It means bending without breaking, adjusting to new normals, and still finding ways to move forward. When you share stories of resilience, this normalizes the ups and downs and reminds people setbacks don't erase progress. That's one of the things that I think is really important is connecting with other people, being able to share your resilience and your story. So when you're thinking about your Lighthouse toolkit, thinking about what anchor practices that you can do for grounding. What lighthouse practices can you do for guidance that give you purpose and guiding values? And what daily practices can you do? Stress management, improving communication, and resilience habits that could help you every day. Think of it as a survival kit for when things feel like it's a storm. The tools are there. You just have to remember how to use them. And knowing that thrivership is not linear. It's not a straight line. It's a messy experience. There will be good days and bad days and seasons of strength and sometimes struggle. And that doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that you're human. The goal is not perfection, but being able to adapt. Recognizing the ebbs and flows builds compassion for not only yourself, but other people. And in closing reflection, remember the anchor steadies you. The lighthouse can guide you in the direction. Mental health is a part of health. It's not separate. Your mental health matters. Stress is manageable with the right tools, and thrivership is possible. And it's best built in the face of community. Here is my contact information as well as the thrivership resources that we have. NETRF offers some incredible educational resources, patient guides, podcasts, mental health programs, and community. I want you to know that you are not alone. Thrivership is a shared journey, and we will walk it together. I'll see you next month. And until then, keep thriving.